your car, it looks like a river. Flooding is a major issue in Osceola County right now. We just saw those live pictures in Kissimmee area with Sabrina Maggiore in Vine Street there, where people were trying to get across some flooding and got stuck and had to be rescued by SWAT. So you have to be really careful right now. And Alexa, you have some stuff happening on the roads right now?
Yeah, so this is the 408. This is right by Lake Lucerne. I'm seeing on some of the traffic cameras, the streets around Lake Lucerne are underwater, completely inundated this morning. It is just intense, but our meteorologists want to get straight over to Daytona Beach. They want to show us this camera right here in Daytona Beach. We'll get to there in just a moment, but we want to show you this again. The cameras in Daytona Beach, those winds whipping, those flags ripped. And then in downtown Orlando, we are seeing that flooding there. Channel 9's Christy Turner has been showing us the water covering the streets in Orlando for us right now. Christy, we were just talking about the Lake Lucerne area. You were in South Street earlier. We are just seeing a lot of that flooding at around 5 this morning.
Different pockets where we're seeing that flooding. We started out on Summerlin Avenue in between East South Street near Jackson Street. That road was underwater, and now we are here near Orlando Health. And check this out. You can see this road is completely flooded. They have a police line tape right now, but that's also underwater. So my goodness, we've stressed this a lot, and we can't stress it enough. If you see water on the roads, please do not drive through it. It is so dangerous. I mean, we don't know how deep this is, but just judging by how high it is up on that sign, if you pan up there, I mean, this is really deep water. That's Silver Court, and the water goes all the way up, almost touching that green portion of the sign. Alexa, like you mentioned, Lake Lucerne, we drove by that. We had to navigate around floodwaters there. That is overflowing. And take a look at this. Tom, back up a little bit so we can show this water that's rushing down because this road is at a little slant here, and it is powerful. I mean, you can just see that water kicking up as I stand in that water. I mean, this is only going to get worse. The water is coming up further up this street. There's a car here right now. Pan over here so we can show this. Hey, I turn around, that street's flooded. Good. That's exactly what we want you to do. It's not worth it. Earlier, we actually saw an ambulance that was stalled out in the middle of the road. I don't know if they were responding to the hospital, maybe taking someone to the hospital. I'm not sure, but it was stuck there right in the middle of the road, and it moved within the last 10 minutes or so. But you can see, again, this is right near Orlando Health. So first responders are going to have to navigate around these floodwaters if there's an emergency and they need to bring someone to the hospital. So this is going to be a big issue. We're seeing lots of flooding in the downtown Orlando area. We're here on South Orange Avenue, again, near Orlando Health. And you can see the water going up the side of that building, panning over to the right there. Those are some, what are those, Tom? It's a little hard for me to see, but trailers, it looks like, that are submerged. This is wild to see. So we are seeing lots of flooding. I hope everyone is staying indoors right now just because it's not safe. We're still feeling some of those wind gusts, but right now it's really just the rain that's coming down. So we'll be monitoring all of the flooding spots here in downtown Orlando for you, letting you know what we're seeing. There's a big wind gust right there, but just hoping everyone stays indoors and stays safe. If you do venture out at some point and see floodwaters like this, please turn around. Sending it back to you guys in the studio.
Good to see that when she advised those around, they listened to her and did. Because not so lucky over in Osceola County with Sabrina, where cars did get stuck and people had to be rescued.
Yeah, she is giving us all of those details. Sabrina, what a scene playing out just near you moments ago.
Yeah, so what we just saw was the person in the black car was rescued just a moment ago by that SWAT vehicle. Now, it looked as though they're going to maybe station an emergency vehicle at this intersection, or he showed up and then it looks like he's left again. But what I want to show you right now is where we are. So we're on Central Avenue and Vine Street. We're now on the other side of this intersection. Before we were looking at it, Vine Street. Now we're on Central Avenue, and it looks like the flooding here is even worse. I mean, we did see one person in between, kind of when we were off air for a little bit, one person go from Vine Street and turn left onto Central, and it looks like another car is pulling up now. I'm not sure what they're going to do either. This is a blue Jeep. I think you can see it in the shot right there. It's a lot of water, and every time this wind blows here, we're seeing this water kind of just bob, like literally lake effect. It looks like a lake here. I mean, this water is just moving. I'm watching this. I paused for a second because I'm watching this blue car, this blue Jeep right now. I'm not sure what he is doing. It looks like he's going to make it through that intersection. Again, very dangerous to go ahead and try and cross something like this right now. We moments ago also heard, emergency vehicles scream. Well, we're getting another gust of wind. It's pretty strong right now, and I want you to look at the water while this wind is blowing through. You can kind of see the effect of that. I mean, it's pushing the water. And the Jeep has turned around, so I'm not sure if that blue Jeep is what they're doing right now. We're kind of watching them. I'm not sure what they're doing. I think maybe they're concerned someone's in that car. Yeah, and I'm not sure if you guys are still with us. I think we may have lost you guys. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they can still hear us. I'm not sure if they can still hear us. I think we lost them.
No, Sabrina, we
can hear you, Sabrina. We can hear you.
Okay, all right. Well, we are here. Like I said, it looked like that blue Jeep was looking to see if anyone was in those vehicles. So now we know both of the vehicles stalled here at the intersection of Central and Vine do not have anyone inside. So thank goodness everyone is safe there. But again, a very dangerous situation. I'm not sure what cars who are coming through here are going to have to do at this point. And I'm hearing someone in my ear. Did we lose them again?
No, we're here, Sabrina. What we did see, we couldn't be live with Sabrina when we saw it, but we did get a live camera of it, is one of the people in the cars, SWAT came up, removed them from the car, put them in their SWAT car, and they left, but left the car behind. That's what's going to happen to your vehicle if you can't get through these areas. You should not be attempting to, but if you get stuck and someone has to come rescue you, your car's just going to stay there. They're going to take care of you.
And as we approach the sunlight hours, it's 5 this morning, a lot of people are going to want to go outside, see what happened in their neighborhood, maybe drive around, and we can't stress enough, you don't want to do that. You don't know what's in that standing water. We've seen photos of some. Let's start with the basics, with the down power lines and the down trees, but we've even seen some pictures of alligators,
critters, manholes. You don't know what's branches, you don't know what's underneath there, so just don't attempt it. Now, it is 5:09, so I want to take a moment here and kind of set the scene for you of what our coverage is. Right now, we've been alive for you with continuous coverage, 25 hours, keeping you updated on this Hurricane Ian, which now is officially a tropical storm. Brian Shield just to give us that update moments ago. Now, the focal point of our coverage this morning is in Osceola, Seminole, and Lake counties. That's where we're seeing flooding. As you saw there in Osceola County, Central and Vine Street and Kissimmee, that's where it's experiencing some flooding there. You should not be driving through. In Seminole County, that's where we have Q McRae, and in Lake County, we have Chantel Navarro with a serious situation happening there.
We are seeing a lot of those waters rise to a point where people need to be rescued. So we want to give you the latest on those rescues coming up. Everyone is okay. Crews are getting in to rescue those people in the Lake County area. A lot of people across Central Florida are dealing with the power outages right now. The last update that we have received looks like this. OUC tells us they have more than 59,000 customers without power. The Duke numbers continue to rise as well. 224,000 reports of power outages for that company. FPL 133,000, and KUA out of Kissimmee, where all of that flooding is happening, they have more than 12,000 customers without power this morning. We just received that latest advisory, right, Brian, from the National Hurricane Center at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, officially now a tropical storm. And again, you can look at this camera. Just look, we got a lot to go over. So look at this camera. This is the worst we've seen, and these are sustained tropical storm conditions all across really central Florida still at this point. It has gotten in Daytona Beach. Of course, the flags have been ripped off for a long time, but the winds here have been gusting to hurricane force. Not sustained hurricane conditions, but we've had some gusts, 70 to about 75 now in Daytona Beach. This has been so persistent in this area. My friends in Volusia County and Flagler, we're watching everyone. I want you to know that. And as the problems kind of work their way up into your direction, we've got you covered in this. So here it is. Again, now a tropical storm right on top of us. Winds at 65, moving to the northeast at 8. Let me get down, and Rusty in a minute is going to get to how much more rain we're going to get as far as the rain totals are concerned. We have just widespread flood warnings out all over the place. And then there's this new one here. Rusty, it looks like it was kind of picking that up. But you can see here again, this red shading that is working in. The yellows, that's still some of the very heavy rain that we've been seeing in places. So we get down to Wekiva Springs, the Little Wekiva. That's where we have the flash flood emergency that's going on right now. So you're by Annunciation Catholic and points just to the north by Forest City. And includes Altamont Springs and Maitland, even up toward Longwood and Lake Mary. Flash flood emergency until 6:45. In this area, they are asking people, if you believe you're going to be taking on water and you're right along the Little Wekiva River, seek higher ground immediately. It is a emergency in extreme southwestern sections of Seminole County. Seek higher ground along the Little Wekiva River. In about 2 hours, it is going to hit record flood stage. We haven't been in that territory before. I believe about 29.7 feet plus, and it should still be rising after that. We've got record flooding, our little rivers and our big rivers, and you see the center of it right here in Brevard County now, but those bands of rain continue to work in, and this will progress, as I mentioned, from Seminole, Volusia, right up through Flagler County, only getting worse. As far as the rain is concerned, getting some spots now in Polk County of about 16, 17 inches of rain. And these are radar estimates. Let me zoom down. The big flooding we've been seeing, Kissimmee and St. Cloud, up through downtown Orlando, and then as we work our way into Seminole County, we've had already about 13 inches of rain, about 14 inches of rain in some spots. And again, we are adding on to this, which Rusty is going to cover in a second. Winds right now, 46 sustained in Daytona Beach, 31 in Orlando, 76 miles per hour now. That is Daytona Beach. So that is hurricane force winds. That means we're going to see more power outages, and that will be some damage. So 76 mile per hour winds. Let me jump back to that camera.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is actually over toward Port Canaveral. So this is Port Canaveral. As we get into Brevard County, you see that winds are whipping around. It is worse along the coast as you wake up with us, if you slept at all. There are the hurricane gusts right now just driving across Volusia County. This is dangerous stuff. Do not be outside in this at all, because there'll be some debris in the air. So again, those gusts in Daytona Beach, 76 miles per hour at this point. Could get a little bit higher. Those are some of the biggest gusts we've had so far.
That's the highest.
That's the highest. And Rusty, you've been tracking that. So that is the highest gust. Gust still to 50 in Cocoa Beach. So our worst weather now, as far as winds is happening and flooding is happening now. The worst stuff is moving in now. Now here's the deal. 8 in the morning, the center tries to move off, but still the rain around, and everything still, even when the rain stops, everything still is going to feed these rivers. That's why they're rivers. That's why they're there. They're already going to be at record stage as we go throughout the day. The flooding can be getting worse even when the rain stops. And again, still some rain around by the time we hit 6 o'clock. So be mindful today of the problems we are going to have. Early in the day, the heavy rain continues, the flash flooding, the flooding emergencies that are ongoing. Later in the day, watch out for the broken branches, but monitoring those rivers, the basins. We have flooding all over the place. And some spots are going to break records, and even then some throughout the day, Rusty. And here you've got the St. John's at Astor, so a different spot.
Yeah, stick with me, Brian. I want to still kind of bring you in on this. You had that Daytona camera, right? They are at low tide right now. The Sunglow Pier low tide was 4:33 in the morning. So we're not seeing any tidal issues right now, but that's an onshore wind, okay? That's going at hurricane force. It's just an amazing shot behind you, Brian. So we don't have any tidal issues right now in Daytona Beach, but as we get deeper in the morning, That's something we really have to look out for. And you made an excellent point. When you have hurricane force gusts, there will be debris in the air. There will be signs and things, you know, traffic signs and just other things that are picked up by a 76-mile-an-hour wind. It's dangerous to be outside.
Yeah, 70 to 80-mile-per-hour gust right here. It is dangerous outside. It is dangerous in the flooding that we're seeing now. You cannot be in that. We have some places that need to seek higher ground. And then we have this on top of it, the winds. And as you mentioned, Rusty, good point by you too, this will just work its way up into Flagler County. We got you covered as well.
Yeah, so we're going to have some major coastal issues, Brian, the next several hours because that's an onshore wind. So we are going to have the storm surge and the coastal erosion with the strongest winds in Volusia and Flagler counties that we've seen all EM long. And again, we do not want you to let your guard down. We are starting to see in Central Florida some of the cumulative effects of the heavier rain, but also the strongest winds right now that we have seen in all of Central Florida. That 76 tops the 74 in New Smyrna Beach last night. I want to get to the river flooding in Astor. We've already had the reports of the high water rescues there. It's a very flood-prone area. Look, the St. John's, the river basin is not like the Little Wekiva. It is very broad. It is very slow to rise, you know, and it's also very slow to recede. That's the problem. Right now, they're already about a foot above flood stage there, but as we get to Friday afternoon and Friday evening, they are forecast to tie a record flood stage. So unfortunately, all of these river problems will just continue to grow over the next 24 to 48 hours. So again, please, flooding, turn around, don't drown, don't get out of those roads, especially if you just see any water covering those roads. You just don't know how deep it is. 6 inches of fast-moving water could move you off the roads. Let's get back to the anchor desk. Here's Kirsten and Alexa.
All right, we want to get you back out with all those rain totals and rains continuing to be bad. We want to get you to Seminole County.
Q McCrae has been there for us for the last few hours now. This is in Geneva, a low-lying area, and Q officials were prepared for this. They knew this flooding was going to be a major issue here.
Yeah, that's right, and it's happening as we speak. I'm actually standing in Whitcomb Road, a major road here in the Geneva area, and you can see that it's more of a river right now, guys, as the water makes its way from one side to the other. The majority of the roads here in Geneva, at least in the neighborhoods, have drainage ditches on both sides. Well, the one on this side, pan over, you'll see is completely full. It's more of a lake now than anything else, and that water from this side is now making its way over onto this side of the road. And there are homes everywhere surrounding us in every part of this community. You can't see them right now because there's no electricity in this area. So the conditions here in Geneva are definitely an issue. When it comes to the rain, to the wind, same thing there. Strong gusts coming through this area. We felt it all morning long. The gusts here strong enough to knock over a tree. And if you were with us about 45 minutes or so ago, we showed you that tree down the road here on Fort Lane Road. So there's definitely damage here in the Geneva area. We're going to do our best to keep driving around and see if we can find some other spots for you here in Geneva. But yeah, the flooding, definitely the biggest issue. Having spoken with fire rescue and a number of the residents here, they told us that, they feared scenes reminiscent of 2004 when Hurricane Charlie hit this area. There was a lot of flooding then. They're expecting the same thing now. And as I mentioned, showed you guys, the scene here really does speak for itself. So, and this water is only going to rise as the day goes on. So that's the latest right now in Geneva. I'm Q McCrae. Back to you guys inside.
From Seminole County to Lake County right now, where there is that flooding concern there as well.
Yes, right. Which we have Channel 9's Chantel Navarro about 2 miles from the major flooding that's happening in Astor right now. Chantel, what's the latest? Last check, we had 12 families that were rescued. 10 more are just really holding on until they can get some help with these floodwaters rising.
Well, actually, Kirsten, I just talked to the county just a second ago, and it looks like there is a correction on those numbers. It's actually only 2 families that are stuck there, and the 10 families that they were able to rescue there a few hours ago at about 7 p.m. this evening. Now, rescue crews have not been able to get any further down, like you just said. I'm about 2 miles away right now. Now, the path, it's really muddy right now, and the waters are really high over there. It's some dangerous flood levels. The county says that they're at about a moderate flood stage at this time over there, and they're just kind of they're going to have to wait and see what happens from here when they will be able to return to that area. Now, the crews, the county did ask everybody to evacuate. They were highly encouraging it yesterday, and again, they were able to get those 10 people out of there, those 10 families rather, out of there yesterday evening, and now they're going to have to wait. And at this time, there are concerns, but they think that at this time everybody is okay. But of course, when something like this happens, I mean, the rain is still coming down. There's always concerns of drowning, but we're going to have to keep you guys updated as things develop. Live in Lake County, Chantal Navarro, 1009, Eyewitness News.
We have a big focus this morning in Daytona Beach. Brian, Rusty, the winds that you all have been able to see through that area, really, really strong. A live look right now at some of our traffic cams through that area. Take a look right here. This is I-95, not too far from US 92, and you can see those trees right there just being swayed heavily with the strong winds that are ripping through here.
And even though right now it's officially a tropical storm, Ian, we're still seeing hurricane like Cat 1 winds, right?
Yeah, we just had a gust of 76 in Daytona Beach, that Daytona Beach cam. And again, you can see that driving rain, and the cameras are showing us, Alexa, and everything just shaking around. Latest wind gust just checked in Daytona Beach, 76 to now it's 66 miles per hour. So we're getting these constant gusts, and it has been so windy all night long. It was so windy yesterday. So again, this stuff, here's the deal at the beach. One of the deals is the winds just rush through our barrier islands. They jump over the intercoastal and our rivers, and then they hit the other side, and that's where a lot of our trees are, our taller trees. And we saw this in Matthew, and we had a ton of trees down. There's a ton of focus, of course, right on the sand, but I'm thinking of everyone just inland on the other side of the intercoastal. The wind really just comes in off of the Atlantic, and there's not a whole lot to stop it. Of course, we got a couple buildings, and then it just runs across the intercoastal right into what we'll call the mainland, and that's where we get a lot of the trees down and power outages. So heads up there. We're watching right on the sand, and again, just inland as well.
Inland, we're really seeing that flooding, and you all stress be a major issue, but our producers put this video together, and you see it right there, our 3 different counties for us.
So on the left side of your screen where that Jeep is attempting to get through, that is Kissimmee. It's Central and Vine Street. What this car is doing is what you should not be doing. Do not attempt to go through those waters you see there. That car stops, eventually making a U-turn. In the middle of your screen is where we had Christy Turner in Orlando. You can see the flooding there down that street in the middle of the road there, and then to the right, it's Q McCrae's Live Shop there in Seminole County near Geneva.
Look at Christy's boots.
Exactly.
Did you see that? Yeah, really, really rushing through. And she was there earlier showing us as drivers were still trying to make it through. And she told them, hey, listen, turn around. And they heeded her warning. But we continue to see those conditions across, again, all of those 3 counties, Seminole, Orange, and Osceola. Let's get you straight to certified meteorologist once again, Brian Shields in Severe Weather Center 9.
Yeah, and with that, I want to also get to the flash flood emergency we have ongoing. Of course, we have all this flooding in many spots. Here's Doppler 9, and we have just an array of warnings out right now. A big area with the flash flood warnings in place. There is a little pocket here in Seminole County that is a major, major concern. Zooming down here, and Alexa, if you don't mind taking a look at this so you could kind of focus, take a look at some roads. I know you're the best we have with mapping and everything. So this is Altamont Springs 434 here. Here's I-4. The Little Wekiva runs through here. So in this section here, and this stretches all the way up to Heathrow, parts of Altamont Springs, Clips, Maitland here in Forest City. This is very important. And in this area here, they're asking people to seek higher ground if you are right along that river. So as we work our way, here's Sand Lake Road. Again, a different Sand Lake Road here. Here's Forest City, Bear Lake here, and then just off as you get toward I-4. So Douglas Ave running through here, Markham Woods up there. So again, this spot here, if you're along the Little Wekiva River, it is a flash flood emergency, and they want you to seek higher ground immediately. So this is that sector there. And Alexa, when you get any landmarks by Annunciation Catholic, I know they're just from taking my kids to play games there. Again, this, and it does stretch up toward Heathrow. Not all of Heathrow, obviously, but again, here is Markham Woods Road that kind of runs along it, the river being on the west side. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but again, in this area here, any homes, and we do have a few businesses here. So off to the west of I-4 in this sector, that is a flash flood emergency, not something we often get. And the river itself is going to be at record stage in just 2 hours. We already have it overtopped, already have that flooding in the basin. We're concerned that this will be very widespread in this area. So heads up there as far as that is concerned. All right, the broader picture showing you this, letting you know what's going on. The center of Ian, it's now a tropical storm, is here. The heavy weather working in. Rusty and I have been watching that camera in Daytona Beach. And Rusty, we have some of the heaviest weather that's just to the south, and you see it here. So moving from New Smyrna Beach and then moving right into a Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea. We're going to see very heavy weather moving in, and that's Daytona Beach shores. The Sunglow Pier that was rocked with Hurricane Matthew. This pocket's moving in, but it stretches all the way back still across Altamont Springs, Lake Mary, Heathrow, Castleberry, Winter Springs. And in this, we get the howling winds, 40, 50 miles per hour down through Orlando. And while in Kissimmee, some of the rain has lessened, it is still coming down. And again, working over toward DeBary, Deltona, and Osteen, that really heavy rain. And you see these totals now stacking up back into Orlando, upwards of about 14 inches of rain with that flooding, and where that flash flooding emergency is, some spots already over 13 inches of rain. And in that flash flood emergency, we could get an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain. So even if we didn't get that, we're going to get to record stage there and higher. So again, that's why that flash flood emergency is in place, but there's going to be an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain. Live speeds on the winds, about 30, 40 miles per hour for a lot of us. Not as much in our western zones. Marion, Sumter, I always have my eye on you. But again, this is mainly Daytona Beach dropping off to 56 now, kind of waiting on that next rain band to work in. So 8 this morning, heaviest core Flagler and Volusia. But even as that rain starts to kick off for many of us, all that water is still filtering into the basin. So we're going to hit record stage this morning and through the afternoon for many of our rivers as we go through the day, watching that urban flooding that we're seeing. And we talked about that the last few days. Different spots. You don't always expect to get flooding. We'll get flooding in this. By 6 o'clock, a lot of this action will be working off. So again, as we go throughout the day, heavy rain this morning, of course, the river flooding, a major concern. And then in the urban flooding, and then watching out for some branches that could be broken as we go throughout the day. But that flash flood emergency is in effect. We've got flood warnings all over the place. Yeah, what do we have there? Let me jump back.
You can kind of see that rain really coming down and that light moving if you take my traffic system. Okay. It is hard to see in this area, but it just shows you the darkness and that rain coming down. I don't know if you have the shot.
Yep, we got it.
You can see it. Not a lot of cars on the road, but we are seeing some ponding. I was just looking at the 434 camera. We are seeing that water build up, Brian.
Okay, yeah, so thank you for grabbing that cam. And again, this spot, the flash flood emergency until 6:45. If you're along the Little Wekiva River, please get to higher ground to be safe. And we'll keep you posted on everything we're seeing there. We have a crew nearby as well. They're staying safe as well. So Kirsten, we got a lot going on, obviously, and a lot more to go through as we go throughout the morning. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for your trust with this system. Kirsten?
Yeah, and just so you know, we do have a crew on the way to that Little Wekiva River area as we take a live look here at what Tropical Storm Ian is doing to Daytona Beach in Volusia County. You see there what normally is a picturesque, beautiful shot for us with those flags usually waving in the wind are now battered. This is now history you're looking at as we see that those flags will be taken down and replaced after being destroyed in Ian. For now, we're going to actually go from the coast to Seminole County, where we have Channel 9's Sabrina Maggiore dealing with flooding there in the area of Kissimmee, Central, and Vine.
Osceola County right now, and we've been showing you earlier this morning this intersection at Vine and Central where that flooding has just continued to pile up and pile up. You can see the two cars stalled in the background here, but what I want to show you now is how this is impacting some of our businesses. We took a walk down this way and take a look here. We're at Children's Castle. This is on Central Avenue and it is completely flooded. You can see that water has just piled up. If you take a look, it's inside more than likely this building here. The white car, you can also see kind of just gauging how high this water level has gotten here. It's kind of covered by the tires on this white van over here. We are also seeing down this intersection, we're trying to get a sense of how far this flooding stretches across here. It's difficult to tell, and we're seeing another red vehicle on this road right now. I'm hoping that they turn around as well. They're on the intersection, as well at Vine and Central. So again, and there's another car coming down this way. They're probably going to have to turn around as well. We did see a couple emergency vehicles try and make it down, and they were able to get through. Wow. Yikes. It's difficult to watch. Just watching these cars trying to make it through this intersection. Again, the best thing you can do is just stop and turn around. It's not worth risking getting stuck and risking a potential rescue like we saw earlier with those SWAT vehicles. That black car, we watched as the person inside of that black vehicle down at this intersection had to get rescued. So this is something we're monitoring now. And again, the water piling up to the point where it's now affecting businesses. When we walked over this way, we took a little bit of a walk trying to get to another location to see if there was something else we could see from our vantage point, because we're not able to really cross this intersection either as well. So we walked over, and we're also starting to see it spill onto the other side of this intersection towards. I guess if you look at Central, it's spilling this way and affecting the businesses here as well. So something we're watching again right now. A dangerous situation for sure if you're out on these streets. Something you do not want to go ahead and try and cross at this time. We're going to continue to monitor this and watch and see how this flooding continues to pile up and how businesses are impacted. But for now, let's go ahead and send it back to you guys in studio.
Hurricane Ian continues to, now Tropical Storm Ian, continues to lash different parts of Central Florida with rain and that wind. That was just in Osceola County, but in Seminole County, those conditions are very similar.
Quickly deteriorating as we've been watching over the morning hours. We've been with you since 3 a.m. and things have changed quickly there. So let's get right over to Q McRae, who is live there along the Geneva area. What's the latest from there, Q?
Yeah, the flooding, just like down in Osceola County, just like over in Lake County, this rain will not let up. And what it's causing is a lot of different issues. When it comes to the flooding, we've been reporting about how in this area of Geneva, we're on Fort Lane Road here, there are drainage ditches on both sides of the road. They're both sides are at capacity. And what's happening now is that the water is now making it onto the roadway. So if you were with us yesterday at around 4 o'clock, we were in an area that was just yards away from Lake Harney. We showed you all the beautiful homes and the sticks that were in the ground to give drivers an idea as to where the safe part of the road was to drive on. Well, we can't get to that area now because the water's so high. So we're over in this part of Fort Lane Road where the wind was also strong enough, as you can see here, to knock over an older tree, a tree nonetheless, a very large tree. What we can't see from our vantage point right now is whether or not this tree hit the home on this property because it's so dark out here right now. The street lights aren't working. The homes are without power as well. Yesterday around this time, we could see lights in homes on. That's not the case right now, and you can see here how the tree pulled up all its roots. We knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen. We knew the flooding was going to come. We knew the rain was going to come. But now that it's here and having to experience it, it's really something to see and feel. Now, in addition to the flooding, in addition to the rain, we have seen, like this car over here, we'll make a 180 for you, and I'll zoom my my spotlight into it, there's a car out here. And what we can't show you from our vantage point right now is the front end damage. We're still trying to figure out what happened to this car and its occupants. It's been out here since we've been out here, around 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning. So I'll be interested to find out what happened to this person. As for the homes, it's still unclear to see if at least in this area where we're live at the moment, if any of them are dealing with any flooding inside, but I can tell you that there are no homes here in this part of Geneva that have any power. They are all dark this morning. So that is the latest we have for you right now in Geneva. And we'll show you, some of the runoff here and how the drainage ditches are at capacity. Back to you guys.
Wow. And as we go from Q, we see the fierce winds of Ian. This is our Daytona beach cam. It's upside down.
Flipped completely.
That is the force of the winds and the rain there actually flipping the camera. We've been giving you the same shot for hours now because the flags there are just battered by all that wind and rain. And now the camera itself physically turned upside down because of the force of those winds. We've been reiterating this for you. Technically right now, Ian is a tropical storm, but the wind gusts are still Cat 1. Right,
yeah,
Brian?
We just had some wind gusts in Daytona Beach to 76 miles per hour. This is taken out of camera. Our camera, Rusty, you seen this? Look at the Daytona cam.
Wow.
Yeah, it's upside down. So again, this the current wind gust, I've got watching that 62 miles per hour. So this is a camera we show you all the time here on Eyewitness News this morning. We always show it to you. We have the flags that are around. This is the Main Street Pier area. And again, you could see it's the camera itself is totally flipped upside down now. So I guess that is damage in itself, obviously, what we're seeing. And again, the core of this system, winds gusting to 62 in Daytona Beach. And in Daytona Beach, where that camera is and now where it is upside down, even some worse weather is going to be driving in. You see the reds there on your screen near New Smyrna Beach. Daytona Beach, we've got some heavier weather. We could get some gust back to about 70, 75 miles per hour as that rolls on shore. Ponce Inlet. So Daytona Beach, with this said, in this view here, so you could keep that camera up, but in this view here, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, and then we work south, Wilbur by the Sea, Daytona Beach Shore, Sunglow Pier over by the Cracked Egg. We swing back toward Ponce Inlet, over by the Lighthouse, and then into New Smyrna Beach, Bethune Beach, Turtle Mound Road. Obviously, don't be outside, but clearly do not go outside. There's going to be debris in the air here. And this is tropical storm force sustained winds, but there will be debris in the air. Do not be outside in this sector. And this kind of continues over toward 44, working into Samsula. That's where some of the worst weather is. But again, that camera on the right side of your screen, that is down. That camera is flipped upside down. That is our Daytona Beach cam. And then we work a little bit inland. The tail end of that area the rain works over toward Seminole County. So on the left-hand side of your screen, that's where we have the flash flood emergency. They are asking people to seek higher ground if you're right along the Little Wekiva River. But again, as you work your way through Daytona Beach, that camera totally toppled over. We'll see how long that shot stays, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, that camera is basically on top of a store of a building.
It is, yeah.
And there's a pedestal, and obviously that has snapped and it's just flipped 180, but it is still transmitting. I mean, literally it is on its top. The other thing I want to mention too, Brian, is that, again, we are coming off of a low tide in Daytona Beach. The next high tide is at 11 a.m. We will see how that might impact the tidal surge, because they are forecasting at least a 1 to 3 foot tidal surge there, but up in Flagler County is actually 3 to 5 feet. And you get up to places like St. Augustine, are just known to flood. Again, these are onshore winds. That's what we're talking about right now. All of this wind is going to pile up the water on top of the high tide. So although they're at low tide right now, we haven't had any tidal issues so far. There will be some coastal erosion just based on the winds. Things could get worse for coastal Volusia and Flagler counties because of the higher tide coming in about 5 hours. We're going to monitor that. But again, the winds have been absolutely amazing outside. 76-mile-an-hour wind last hour was the highest gust we had seen in Central Florida. Now you're looking at 62-mile-an-hour winds through the area. And again, that kind of wind is higher end tropical storm, but then you factor in the gusts, and they are still Category 1 hurricane gusts. And that 76 is the strongest wind gust that we've reported in Central Florida. New Smyrna had a 74-mile-an-hour gust. So you've got the coastal problems, and then, Brian, a ton of urban and flash flooding here inland as well. Brian?
Okay, real quickly, just that flash flood emergency, we did already break record stage. It was supposed to be 2 hours from now. It's already record stage. We have a crew on the scene. We're going to let you know. But if you're in that area, southwestern sections of Seminole County, please seek higher ground. Already over 30 feet. The old record was 29.7, and it is still climbing.
We want to get you right now to Demi Johnson, who is live in Daytona Beach. That wind so strong, the rain coming down. She needs to join us live via phone. Demi, stay safe, but my goodness, these conditions are really, really difficult right now.
Yes, and it's crazy just how quickly they changed. I mean, this wind is no joke. We were standing outside, and all of a sudden it just started hitting us. The rain is coming down a lot faster and a lot harder right now. That wind is pushing water around. We're also on the ground in Daytona Beach, and we're starting to see some flooding. We were in ankle-deep water, seeing it going into some homes off Rio Vista Street, which is just off of the Main Street Bridge. This wind, again, is really just no joke right now, and the rain is making it really hard to see. So we are trying to find a safe place to put our car and stop so we can, take shelter until it's safe enough for us to go back outside.
Difficult to hear, Demi, with that signal. So to reiterate what she said, the conditions changed rapidly where she is in Daytona Beach. She says that rain is just beating down right now at a much faster pace, and says that those winds, again, 76 miles per hour. That's the wind gust reported there, the highest one, just pushing water around through that area.
To the point where she was saying the flooding's about ankle height right now, and only getting worse as this rain continues, and that water has now reached some homes off of the Main Street Bridge. So working from the coast further inland, we want to take you to the city of Orlando, just tweeting that urging residents to shelter in place and stay off the roads right now.
They've shared what streets they're seeing flash flooding on. So it's Primrose Drive and Colonial Drive, Cimarron Boulevard near Lake Underhill Road, Cimarron Boulevard and Hoffner Avenue, South OBT, Orange Avenue, and Silver Court. There's also a flash flooding reported in the Richmond Heights area, and that downtown area. We saw Christy there earlier. She was by Lake Lucerne. The flooding really an issue in Orange County as well.
Let's get back over to her. Christy, what's the latest you're seeing this morning by Lake Lucerne?
So right now we're starting to see Lake Lucerne overflow and spill out onto the road. So I'm going to step out of the way so you can take a look. You can see the sheets of rain over the water. It's really crazy to see. That wind is coming in different directions. Sometimes it's coming to the right, and then it just totally shifts and comes over to the left. But you can see here as we get a big wind gust, it's pushing water over the edge. If you walk down a little bit this way with me, Tom, I mean, you can see the flooding here on South Orange Avenue. My photographer, Tom, and I were talking earlier. He's been in this business here in Central Florida for 25 years, and he says he has never seen this type of flooding in these specific spots. So it's, really something to take in here. It's just crazy to see, the power that Mother Nature has. And we've been running around downtown Orlando specifically. We've seen lots of flooding in different spots. We were over on Summerlin Avenue, in between East South Street and East Jackson Street, where we saw cars submerged in water. You can see a car driving through here right now, hoping everyone stays safe. But back over on East South Street, we have reports of homes that are being flooded. Earlier, we were down the street, down South Orange Avenue near Orlando Health. We also saw flooding down there, and that water was just rushing like into the middle of the road. So it was just piling up here. And like I said, Lake Lucerne now overflowing onto the road here, and it is looking like a lake as we navigate around that tree here and walk a little closer so we can show you that flooding. Continue walking down here with me, Tom. So you can see Lake Lucerne pushing up against the wall here, kind of creating small little waves. This is crazy to see that water that's building onto the road right now. You know, my photographer Tom has an umbrella out here right now because we're trying to protect our gear, but it's kind of blown away in the wind, so be careful there. But take a look at this. You know, the water's almost coming up all the way to the benches. You have homes on the other side of the road. The water's starting to slowly creep up into their driveways, so lots of flooding in downtown Orlando. We will continue to stay out here to monitor the conditions for you, but I expect this to get worse with time, so please stay indoors because it is not safe. We've seen some cars driving around, and we actually, when we were down by Orlando Health, there was a car that stopped just in time, and I told them to turn around, which they did. So if you see flood waters, do not drive through it because it is so dangerous. You just don't know how deep it is in spots. We've seen water that's gone up, you know, some of the so really bad flooding out here. I mean, this is just wild to see as Lake Lucerne spills over the edge here and onto the sidewalk and into the street. So really devastating damage out here. Like I said, we'll continue to monitor the changing conditions for you. Back to you guys in the studio.
Please stay safe, Christy. You know, our meteorologist had been telling us we're going to see a lot more rain in the metro and flooding in areas that we normally don't during a hurricane, and in this case, Tropical Storm Ian now. But now we're seeing that happen, and people are going to get curious. They're going to get antsy being in the house since yesterday, and they're going to want to head out as the sun rises. This is why you don't, because conditions are only getting worse throughout the night. Our meteorologists have been telling us that was going to be the case through the night into early Thursday morning, throughout the day Thursday. This is going to be a constant situation, a long water event. So you got to really have some patience because it's just not safe to go out right now.
Especially in Osceola County, where Sabrina Maggiore joins us live. Flooding. Sabrina, that is the main issue there.
Yeah, and it's just gotten so bad that this intersection at Central Avenue and Vine has almost become impassable. We've seen a couple emergency vehicles having to kind of cut through the parking lots of neighboring businesses. Yet here we are, we're looking at another car trying to get through this intersection right now. A black vehicle here. Again, that's not what you're supposed to do. Please turn around. If you take a look, let's zoom in a little bit on that black vehicle. If you look at the tires, you can kind of get a sense of how high this water is. Oh, and we're seeing a sheriff vehicle go ahead and make its way through as well, but this water has just continued to pile up as you can kind of see here, and we saw how far it stretches back that way down Central Avenue. It stretches for quite some distance because when we saw the emergency vehicle cut through the parking lot, we saw him struggling, the vehicle struggling as they tried to make its way down Central Avenue. I also want to show you how this is starting to impact some of the neighboring businesses. Let's take a little bit of a walk this way. If you walk with me a little bit, you can kind of see what we are looking at right now. I'm not sure if we should be able to cross the street or at least zoom in, but this is Children's Castle. It looks like it's some sort of preschool, completely flooded. So this flooding from the intersection is starting to affect nearby businesses. It's getting pretty bad. If you take a look, let's look back over at the intersection again, because I'm seeing some more emergency vehicles. It looks like a sheriff vehicle is kind of posted up behind here. I'm not sure exactly if they're needing to get across this intersection. That's the other thing I understand. You know, it's hard to travel in Osceola County right now, at least where we are in Kissimmee. On our way here, we were kind of told by Nick that this is one of the main roads that was still not flooded, and he told us that, and these vehicles watch as they make their way across. So these are all sheriff's law enforcement vehicles. You know, it's difficult for them to make it across as well. You can see that. So if you're not needing to be on these streets, obviously do not come out here. You guys kind of gave those warnings a little bit ago that, you know, you might get antsy, you might want to kind of come out and see what's going on, but make sure you're not doing that because it is dangerous to be driving around in these conditions as flooding continues to get worse here in Osceola County. So again, we're going to continue to monitor this. We're watching as this intersection continues to get worse. And take a look here. I didn't notice this before, but look at the business here. I'm trying to see what that says, Tire Kingdom. So I don't know if you can see, but that flooding is now completely spilled over into that that parking lot of Tire Kingdom. So it's starting to kind of expand out from this intersection. So it's only getting worse here where we are at Central and Vine. Again, we're going to continue to monitor this. When we have an update, we'll make sure we bring that to you. But that's what we have for right now. We'll go ahead and send it back to you in studio.
Oof. Oh, we can actually just heard a wind gust and some rain here in the studio above us. So as we're heading from Seminole County, we're actually going to head over to the coast with Ashley Endlin and Coco.
Yeah, we actually just had to run over to the gas station really quick, and we ran into a police officer who said he has never seen the Indian River this high, and that was such a good perspective. He says he's lived here for many, many years, because I've been watching the river tonight, and it's high. Take a look. I'm going to get out of your way right now. Look how high the water is right now. Look at it just slapping against the side right there. And we've seen the water going up against the seawall throughout the night here and just crashing over, and that water just really having nowhere to go after that and kind of pooling, you know, in the grassy areas around here. Now, speaking of the grass, I want you to take a look over here so we can talk a little bit about how strong the wind has been out here. That wind ripped the tree right out of the ground. You can see the roots are just totally exposed. So that's some of what we've been dealing with out here tonight. There's this other tree right here that I've been watching all night too. It is really getting the brunt of the wind and the rain and that water that I was talking about coming off the seawall. We're just seeing it bend, bend, bend like that. I've been watching it honestly here for hours. I'm like, oh boy, if the other one went, I wonder if this one is going to be next. So again, you know, the conditions out here right now, pretty consistent. Rain, wind throughout the night. That's what we've been seeing. But the day did not start like this. We started our day in Brevard County at noon, and it was quiet. It was clear. We were not seeing this rain. I don't even think we were seeing this around 7 o'clock. Not a surprise for our meteorologists, obviously, who have been tracking this storm step by step very thoroughly. But for us, you know, just feeling this wind, I described it a little bit earlier. You know, when you stand against this wind, it's just kind of, you can feel it on your back, and you can feel it pushing into you. And there were times tonight where I had to hold on to the top of our camera to make sure that it wasn't going to topple over, that it was going to be okay. Better now, but still kind of in the thick of it out here. Alexa and Kirsten.
Ashley, thank you. And we were talking about the wind gusts in that area, some recorded in the 60s earlier in the Cocoa Beach area, Brian was telling us, but our major winds at the moment continue to be in Daytona Beach.
With that in mind, we actually want to get you back to our terror cam. We brought you that live picture a few minutes ago where it was upside down. Now we actually have the moment it happened. Take a look. Bam. Upside down. That is the force of Tropical Storm Ian right now. Still right now a tropical storm, but as of 5 a.m., but still the wind gusts are Cat 1, right?
Yeah,
right?
that wind gust there was, we had a wind gust of 76 miles per hour there. So again, that may have done that anywhere from about 65 to about 76 miles per hour. And again, Category 1 Hurricane 74. We do not have sustained hurricane conditions. These are tropical storm conditions. But as Kirsten is saying, we're getting gust or hurricane force in Daytona Beach. Some of the worst weather right now, power going out in Volusia up through Flagler County. This is some of the weather we had earlier in Osceola, northern Brevard, and parts of Orange and Seminole. So some of the worst weather right now. But there goes the camera. That is the shot we show you every morning, has our flags lined up on it. The flags got ripped apart when you saw George and Tom last night, and now the camera completely over. And then that wind, it rushes through the barrier island, their barrier islands, goes across the intercoastal. Then that's where we have all the trees. So then that's where we're going to have issues with tree damage on the other side. So you have the sand side, and then you got the kind of the mainland side, and that wind is going to whip across into there.
And we can see that wind really whipping as we take a live look right here at the system that I have pulled up. You see it right here. This is I-95, US 92. Just look at that. The camera is shaking, and we can't stress enough that these cameras are really hoisted up there tightly. It takes a lot to get them to shake, and it takes a lot to get them to flip.
The one positive I'm seeing here is that no one's on the roads, and that's exactly how it should be. Everyone should be indoors. And right now, since we are taking a look at this area on the coast, let's get a live look with Demi in Volusia County. Demi, how you doing?
Guys, I'm a little better now. We found a safe place. We're standing on a Main Street business, under a Main Street business overhang. So I'm not even completely in the mix of things. You can see how fast the wind is coming and the rain is blowing. Also notice we're not going to walk out too far because we don't want to get it mixed in with any of this flooding, but you can see the street on Main Street is starting to flood a little bit. We also, I know Brian keeps saying, you know, be careful outside, don't go outside, because debris is flying. There are big pieces, we can't show you right now, but there are big pieces of metal sheet. I don't know if they're from a roof or what, but they're blowing around this area. There's lots of debris coming down, and I keep saying this, but the wind really is no joke right now. It is blowing so hard. You can see the trees moving. You can hear it. I'll be quiet for a second. You can hear howling. I mean, it is just insane out here right now. But again, we are safe. We found a safe place. Obviously not going to risk that out here today, but we will stay out here. We'll continue to see what's going on, watch the flooding, watch the wind, and stay clear of debris, and then we'll check back in with you guys, okay?
Demi, can you do that one more time? We want to hear that howling a little bit more, Brian was saying, because it is really intense. Demi, if you're still with us, just let us listen for a second.
Okay, here you go.
Just hear the constant nature of that.
I know, it's like a whistle, almost like a whistle you hear, just constant. Yep. And you can see some debris right there.
And again, Demi is one of the best reporters in the country. She is safe. Okay, so that's why she actually stood down, because that's why she's making sure she's avoiding that. She got around to a safe spot. We're not, you know, we don't go out there and stand in the middle of it to get hit by stuff. So Demi does an awesome job staying safe to give you the latest, to let you know what's happening with your homes and businesses. So careful there, Demi, with again, tropical storm conditions right here. So Demi, thank you, and be safe. And that's why she stood down for a while. Got to a kind of safe area where the winds aren't kicking and where debris won't go.
You can actually hear that piece of metal order was banging around behind her live shot. That's the type of stuff that happens. Debris in the air. You don't know where it's coming from. Falling branches, pieces of construction that actually fall from buildings. And then what happens? You're out there for no reason. You can get hit, and that's why we have to keep our reporters as safe as possible. And you, our viewers at home, stay there. I know you're getting antsy, and I know as the sun rises, you're going to want to go out and check out what's happening. But these conditions, as the sun rises in just about an hour now, aren't going to let up. Things are only going to get worse. When would you say things are going to lighten more?
The winds will stay around. They'll be howling around all day for the most part, and then the rain will start to move off first. Still some very gusty winds, but again, Flagler and Volusia, it's going to get worse as we go over the next couple hours. And the river flooding, even as the system departs, gets worse. I want to just show you this real quickly, and Laurel in the back, let me know how much time we have, and we could just stay full screen real quickly. We have flash flood warnings all over the place. Again, the center is in Brevard County. Now I want to zoom down. There's a flash flood emergency. We don't get this often. It is that kind of a oddly shaped green circle you're seeing there. This is the Little Wekiva River in Seminole County. This goes out until 6:45, and they are asking you to, if you're right along, not in this entire area, but if you're right along the Little Wekiva River in this area, you want to seek higher ground. It is life-threatening flooding. We are expecting earlier that this would break record levels around 2 p.m. And then it was looking like it would be a couple hours from now. It is already record levels, and you see the yellows there. It's still raining, and everything is still flowing in here. We're not only setting a record stage here for the Little Wekiva, it is going to blow apart the record as far as that is concerned. So a flash flood emergency. Please get to higher ground if you're right along the river. Elsewhere, you see the rain trying to lessen in our southern tier, but even in Kissimmee, where the rain starts cutting off in spots, the flooding still gets worse, because all of that is still just kind of rushing right around and finding its spot. Look at the reds rushing in. New Smyrna Beach, back into Deltona, DeBary, Sanford. Some of the worst weather we've seen with this, and now a tropical storm, and this will lift up through Daytona Beach Shores, Daytona Beach, Holly Hill, Ormond Beach, Flagler Beach by the pier. And we spent well, I didn't spend it, but again, officials spent so much money to repair and time and effort in Flagler County, and we are getting pounded once again.
WFTV is here to help you with all your storm-related questions. We know you have so many, and we will get you through this.
Our hurricane helpline is up and running now. You can call the number on your screen here. It's 1-800-832-WFTV. That's 1-800-832-9388. Now, you're now watching Eyewitness News this morning at 6 a.m. We want to take you to the flooding we're seeing across so many counties right now, Seminole, Osceola, and of course, Lake. There's so much to be covered right now. You're taking a live look here. In fact, this is in Kissimmee. This is Central and Vine. As SUVs there are making their way through flooded areas, this is exactly what you should not be doing right now. Do not try this. Do not attempt it. Do you see those cars that are stuck? We had a SWAT team by that white car earlier, had to remove the person from inside. The car is left behind. You see those SUVs making their way through, but this was about an hour ago now. The rating has only gotten worse, the flooding only getting worse in that area. Do not attempt this. Stay indoors. Do not drive through. You do not know what's underneath.
And this is in Seminole County, where that rain is really pounding down. Our Q-McCrae is there showing us all of that water filling up the roads. And Kirsten, within the last few minutes, we did hear from some transportation officials telling us that the flooding is so bad on I-4 westbound by State Road 46, it's actually blocking that ramp. That ramp is underwater. So again, this is getting very serious in terms of flooding in Seminole County.
And now we're looking at Orlando, where Christy Turner was live there a little bit ago as we're taking a live look in the middle of a street there. You can see it's blocked off. All that flooding really getting serious in Orlando there, in areas of the metro that we generally do not see flooding during storms. That's the severity of Ian, even though it's been downgraded to a tropical storm, dumping so much water over our area. Our meteorologists, the governor has been very clear this is a major water event. It's going to last for quite a while. I know you're losing patience, but we cannot emphasize enough, you have to stay indoors because this event is far from over.
So we get straight to certified meteorologist Brian Shields in Severe Weather Center 9, who's tracking the wind, the rain, the flooding.
Yeah, we're going to get to the rain, what's going on now, how much rain we've had. Rusty's going to cover how much more rain we are going to get and watching the river flooding. So again, you see this spin. Here is the center of Ian, now a tropical storm in northern Brevard County, right near Cocoa Beach. That's where the center is, over toward Patrick Air Force Base. Everything just filtering around this, and where you see the reds and the yellows, that's a really heavy rain. This is that flash flood emergency now, Little Wekiva River in southwestern sections of Seminole County, where they are asking you to seek higher ground. Record levels already blowing apart the records, unfortunately, along a lot of our rivers with this, and we have a lot more to go. Even as we get through Kissimmee, where it's lessened, again, all that water is still kind of rushing to where we don't want it, where we've already had too much. And in Orlando, still some gusty winds and seeing the rain. Brevard County, we've been seeing it, Titusville, Port St. John, and you see the spin here, but this is the heaviest batch moving into DeLand, DeBerry, Osteen, Lake Helen, Kalamazoo, swinging over toward Casadega, back up through Stetson, over by New York Ave. We're going to see heavier weather, but really lifting up the coast. New Smyrna Beach, Daytona Beach Shores, Wilbur by the Sea, Holly Hill, Ormond Beach, Flagler Beach, Palm Coast, the Hammock, Beverly Beach. That's where we're going to get some of the worst weather as we go throughout the morning. Now, as far as the rain goes, there's just a lot of stuff here. You see this swath on the map. We're talking about 15 inches of rain plus in some spots here. Hence the flood warnings out and that flash flood emergency that is in place. Winds right now, 43 Daytona Beach, 24 in Melbourne, 36 in Claremont, but these are sustained. Even Marion, Sumter, and Lake may get a few tree branches down, still getting that power flickering. And here are the gusts: 62 Daytona Beach, 56 Palm Coast, 54 mile-per-hour gusts in Claremont. So again, it is still howling. That's what I mentioned. Even as the rain moves away, winds are going to be very strong. So future track at 9, it's going to be moving offshore. The center, that is, still heavy weather along the coast. We'll be seeing that Volusia in Flagler in particular. Elsewhere drying out, but again, behind it, that's where we get some of the issues too, with tree branches still coming down in the gusty winds. And even into later today, the rivers, as the rain departs, it's gone. they're still going to be rising. So we've got the crews in place to let you know safely exactly what is going on out there. But we did have those gusts to 76 miles per hour in Daytona Beach. And take a look at this, Rusty. This is, you're either upside down or this camera is, one or the other.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with the camera, Brian, because this is unbelievable. It's still transmitting, and we showed it to you live when it flipped over. The hurricane force gust broke the pedestal, so the camera is still connected, but you are looking at a 180-degree turn of our camera from Daytona Beach. And the reason why I'm showing you this is I've been keeping a very close eye on the potential issues along the coast. We are at low tide right now. We have not seen that tidal surge as of yet, but we still have the onshore wind. So you have the onshore winds with a high tide coming up in Daytona Beach at 11 a.m. An additional 1 to 3 foot storm surge is expected above the high tide. You get up towards Palm Coast and it's 3 to 5 and even 4 to 6 feet. So there will be some issues in portions of Flagler County, some coastal erosion, and obviously some flood issues we have to worry about. St. Augustine is an area that is just prone to flooding, and unfortunately they are probably going to have some big issues as well. So Brian has really been talking about the river flooding and the urban flooding, but there's going to be some issues along the coastline as we go through the remainder of the morning. And again, we'll keep a really close eye on high tide. So how much more rain are we going to see? This is the European model that has a very good handle on where Ian is right now on the southeast side of Osceola County. As it moves northeast, should exit the Brevard County coastline later on this afternoon, and it's going to still bring 2, 3, 4, even 5, 6 inches of rain to portions of Northern Lake, Seminole, Volusia, Flagler. And there will be some areas here, including the metro, that could even get a little bit more rain. But again, it's not just the rain that's going to fall. It's what's already happened. And as rain goes from the higher terrain down to the lower terrain, the additional flooding we're going to see, we're going to have urban areas that have never flooded that will be flooding this morning, especially with a lot of new neighborhoods and new roads and new construction. And of course, we're keeping a close eye on the Little Wekiva River and of course the St. Johns River near Astor. Both of those are forecast to go above record flood stages either right now or sometime within the next 36 hours. So my point being is that although the flooding is very bad right now, it is expected to get worse in several locations later today and even through tomorrow. Okay, let's get back to Kirsten and Alexa.
All right, thank you, Rusty. We're going now to take you to Channel 9's Sabrina Maggiore, who's live for us in Osceola County. Sabrina has been live in an area that's flooded in Kissimmee, and she's going to take us to the latest there.
Yeah, so we are right now on Central Avenue in Vine Street, and I kind of want to show you what we are looking at right now. So we're still looking at those 2 cars stuck here. We watched as someone in the black car was rescued earlier. It looks like some tow trucks are driving around, potentially trying to help people. That's that car that's kind of backing away in the distance there. But this street has just seen the flooding kind of continue to expand. So I have my flashlight now to kind of help me point out what we are seeing now. It extends very, very far back. I mean, this goes all the way down Central Avenue. And we've watched as emergency vehicles have tried to go ahead and make it through, and they've been able to get through. But a couple of them have had to kind of use the parking lots, use kind of these surrounding areas to get through. What I want to show you right now is how this flooding is now impacting some of the businesses. So if you take a look in the distance there, you see that Popeyes. Looks like that Popeyes is experiencing some flooding. If we turn a little bit, Tire Kingdom here, you can see that that is also experiencing some flooding now. It's starting to impact their parking lot here. And if we kind of walk a little bit down this way, we showed you this earlier. This is Children's Castle. It looks like it's a preschool. Lots and lots of flooding here. And if you look down this street, I'm trying to see what street that is. It's kind of spilling onto the other side. If you cross the street there, we're also seeing flooding on the other side of that street as well. So the flooded area has just continued to expand here. Let's turn back towards the intersection again. I want to see, so you can see kind of what we're dealing with. Emergency vehicles are still having to go through here. Obviously, if you shouldn't be out and about. It's very difficult for them to even get through, and you can kind of see that as the sheriff's vehicle is going ahead and making its way through that intersection. But again, this is extending pretty far out. This is a lot of flooding here. It's a lot of possible damage to surrounding businesses as well. That flooded area, again, just continuing to expand. And we're continuing to monitor this here. I kind of mentioned this earlier. we're not able to get to other locations to show you more damage. We are safe where we are right now, but it's very difficult to drive around right now. So it's hard for us to kind of get to a second location. But what you're seeing is a lot of flooding where we are in Kissimmee right now. And I think that's what we have right now. We'll go ahead and send it back to you guys in studio. But for now, reporting live in Kissimmee, I'm Sabrina Majore.
Sabrina, thank you and stay safe. She continues to show us some of that intense flooding, again, keeping herself and her crew. I think she's with incredible photographer Josh Salazar, keeping them safe this morning.
And right now we actually want to get over to Seminole County, where we're also seeing flooding there.
Yeah, Q McCrae has been there all morning long. Q, you were there yesterday when people were preparing, and now fast forward 26 hours, very, very different.
Yeah, definitely a different scene out here. For starters, we can't see the residents. Why? Well, the power here is out. It is dark as can be. Luckily, we have the lights from our live truck, the lights on our camera, so we can show you this down tree. I mean, just take a look at it for yourselves. It's a big tree, to say the least. An older tree, too, but at the roots, ripped straight out of the ground. Now, you know, the conditions out here, the rain hasn't stopped, but the wind has died down some. It was a lot stronger earlier. Earlier this morning, the wind was so strong, the rain was coming in sideways. That's no longer the case. It's really just kind of coming down on us now. But it was strong enough at one point to knock this tree over. What we can't tell from our vantage point right now is whether or not these branches hit the house that's right beyond it. So sad scene here for these property owners. When it comes to the rain, listen, it's been non-stop, that's for sure. Now, when we were out here yesterday on Fort Lane Road, we showed you the drainage ditches on both sides of the road here. Well, the drainage ditches now are at capacity. Beyond that, they're overflowing now onto the road. In some places, you know, it's just unpassable. Now, we're on Fort Lane Road right now, and you can see the water's making its way across the road here, but I do have some video to show you of Crossover Road. And what we try to do is drive through that water for you so you can see just how deep it is. This video was recorded about, what, 35 minutes or so ago, and you can see, well, we don't have the video to show you. Well, when we did drive through it, it was deep. It was deep enough to create some waves as we made our way through that area. That entire area, which is about, what, maybe a quarter mile away from where we are right now, is underwater. We're not there live now because we just didn't feel safe in that area. So, yeah, the situation here in Geneva definitely deteriorating. And only getting worse. That's the latest here live. I'm Q McCrae, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Q, thank you. Staying in Seminole County, I want to show you this. You can see those lights flashing off to the right side of your screen. This is State Road 46. The on-ramp to I-4 westbound is blocked off by law enforcement officers because of the intense flooding in this area. All of those lanes are covered in water, and it is rising to an extent that it is not safe for drivers to get through that area this morning. So in parts of Seminole County, we are under that emergency flood advisory. The county tweeting this out, saying the warning is in effect until 8:15 this morning, and they continue to stress that this is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. They do not want anyone to travel unless they are fleeing an area that is dealing with intense flooding. So stay safe across Seminole County because we continue to see that water really building on our roads.
We've seen that across Osceola. We've seen it just in Q's live shot in Seminole, and now we see it also in Lake County as well. That's been a situation we're monitoring for about a few hours now in Astor specifically, where some families had to be rescued by emergency responders. What's the latest with those efforts, Chantel?
You know, rescue crews are still kind of waiting here to see if conditions get better before they return to these waters. Now, they said it is at a dangerous flood stage at this time, so they can't get past this. This is as close as our team can get as well. As you can tell, these roads, they're muddy, they're gunky, and they are full of high waters. Now, we have been here, and just in the past hour, it has just been getting worse. The rain is really showing no sign of stopping anytime soon. It's been getting heavier as well. The winds have been picking up, and it's just been getting chillier around here. Now, the county told me that they were able to rescue those 10 families around 7 o'clock today. That was when conditions were considerably better, when it wasn't raining too much at all here in the area. But those other 2 families, they're going to have to kind of wait and see at this time. Hopefully, when the sun rises, we'll get a better look of what conditions are at this time over there. Because from where we are now, we can't really tell exactly how high the waters are in the area over there, because we are still about 2 miles away right now over there, because we just can't get past this area right here from where they are over there. Now, the county says that besides these 10 people that they evacuated from this area, they also have more than 830 people that are in those shelters. They have 14 locations in the Lake County area as well, but the power outages are also continuing here in the area. About 15% of the county, that includes about 20,000 Duke customers, as well as about 5,000 Seco customers right now. They're all in the dark tonight as well. But that's it for now. We'll keep you guys updated as things develop. For now, live in Lake County, Chantal Navarro, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
You can tell poor Chantel's struggling out there with that constant rain, and just, you know, we've both reported it in hurricanes like this, and you're just out there, you're just soggy and damp for 12 hours in and out of the rain for these live shots. So we feel for our reporters out there staying as safe as they possibly can, but they're still going to get rain dumped on them.
Yeah, another one bearing the conditions for us this morning is our Christy Turner. She joins us live right now in downtown Orlando. Christy, it looks like you're back on that South Street side. Have things gotten worse? I think we checked in, what, an hour ago in this area?
So it's about an hour and a half ago, so we wanted to swing back by to see how it is looking, and I would say it's about the same, and I'm judging that based on how high the water is up on the tires of that vehicle there, that Range Rover. Man, I feel bad for that driver. But it's about the same level when we were out here an hour and a half ago. We are on East Jackson Street at the intersection of Summerlin Avenue. This is a stone's throw away from our station. This is near East South Street. You can see that bench, the bottom of that bench is almost completely submerged underwater right now. This is next to Constitution Green Park, a popular dog park. You see a lot of people bringing their dogs out here, but that is also underwater right now. You have Lake Olive nearby. We just drove through the neighborhoods back there. A lot of ponding water. Some roads are flooded back there. We know at least one home is flooded in this area. Wouldn't be surprised if more homes are taking on water just because of how high the water is here right now. A lot of flash flooding in the downtown Orlando area. We visited 2 other spots, Lake Lucerne, spilling over the edge and leading onto like onto the sidewalk and the road over just south of the 408. So that road looks like a lake right now. And then we were also by Orlando Health on South Orange Avenue at Silver Court, where that road was submerged. We saw an ambulance that was stalled in the water. So first responders were having to navigate these floodwaters as well. Very dangerous out here. So we're thinking of our first responders and anyone who has to be out here right now. But take a look at this. You can not even see the street here on East Jackson Street because of how high the water is, and that rain has not let up. It just continues to pour out here. So we will monitor the conditions for you. We have a condo complex just to the left of here. You can see those stairs. So it's a little elevated, so that's good news. I haven't seen the water go above those stairs, so we'll continue watching that for y'all. But really just an impressive amount of rainfall right now, seeing lots of flooded streets. So we'll keep an eye on it for you. Back to you guys in the studio.
Christy, thank you. And we want to get straight over to certified meteorologist Brian Shields, who's monitoring that emergency flood advisory. And for perspective, Brian, you were saying this is rare for our area.
Yeah, I don't remember we get flash flood warnings. I don't remember the last time we had a flash flood emergency. And again, it is in this area here where along the Little Wekiva River, Altamont Springs up through Heathrow, they're asking people to seek higher ground immediately because they already a record stage. The old record was 29.7 feet. It's over 30 now, and it's still climbing. And we're joined by Alex Walker. We have a crew on the scene. Alex, if you can... what's going on, especially because it's dark outside. Have you been able to get to this river and see what's happening?
Hey, Brian, and good morning. Yes, we were able to get right next to the river, that Little Wekiva River in Altamont Springs, and what we saw, even just getting there from downtown Orlando, is it was difficult to get there. There was a lot of flooding on the roads. There's water everywhere, and when we got to Little Wekiva Road, next to the river there in Altamont Springs, the water was up pretty high in that neighborhood to the point where a cop car got stuck in the water, and the police officer was there, and he said, look, I didn't realize how fast the water was rising. He got stuck himself. Wow. And had to walk himself out. And then for us personally, even in the 30 minutes we were sitting there in our car, we could see the water slowly climbing up the hill. I mean, so this, as you mentioned, the water is rising quickly, and yeah, it makes sense why people need to seek shelter and seek higher ground immediately, because this water is rising quickly, and it's a dangerous situation.
All right, Alex, thank you. Please be safe. I know you kind of got to a safe spot away from the flooding, because as Alex mentioned again, that police officer getting stuck in that, just the rise is so quick in this. This was supposed to hit a record flood stage at 2 p.m. Then it was up to about 8 a.m. It looked like it would be a record flood stage. It hit it in the 5 o'clock hour. So that's kind of the idea. Historic flooding, breaking records here. And with that, we're here for safety in these issues. And as you heard Alex say, again, this is where you want to seek higher ground. If you're right along the Little Wekiva River, southwestern sections of Seminole County, we have that flash flood emergency in effect until 6:45. Seek higher ground. What's that? Are we, Austin, what was that? Did you? Okay, so seek higher ground. So again, let's get back to Alexa, Kirsten, for the very latest overall with what we're seeing out there. And again, please, just real quickly, do not drive through or walk in standing water. By the way, getting in the water, if you're just walking in it, there could be snakes, all sorts of things. Manhole covers may have been dislodged, even though they're very heavy. Your car stalls out in it, you could lose your entire car. So, but again, 6 inches of running water could move a car, or a foot of running water could move a vehicle. So just don't get in this water. Plus, there could be power lines nearby that you don't see, so everything could kind of be electrified. So just stay out of the water. We got kind of a life-threatening situation with this rise in the water, and we have our crews in place. Alexa, Kirsten?
And with that rain and cars trying to get through that, we've seen that a lot in Osceola County overnight. We brought you those images live of, in fact, of a man being taken out of his car team when his car actually stalled out. That happened in Osceola County, and we're going to head there now to get a live shot and an update from Sabina Major for us there in Kissimmee. What's the latest around you?
Yes, 100 feet from that intersection we're just talking about a little bit ago, where we saw a man actually get rescued. I want to show you how bad the water has gotten. Right now we are on Central Avenue, and it is a lake that extends quite some time. I mean, it goes way far back there, and it's impacting all of the businesses in this area. We showed you earlier, there's a preschool over to my left. If I show you this way, there's a preschool here that's just completely flooded. You can see the water here. You can imagine the damage that they'll have to deal with later. And if you take a look, if you look, kind of rotate, let's rotate a little bit, you can see how that water is spilling into these businesses here. I can't get a read on what this business is or what these neighboring businesses are, because the water, if you look at where we're standing, we're not in standing water, but this is the edge right here. And that just stretches way far back. So we are dealing with quite a lot of water, quite a lot of flooding here in Kissimmee. And we also, just moments ago, we saw a tow truck hauling what looked like a boat to another location past that intersection we showed you earlier. So we're not sure if, it's worse in other areas right now. As I mentioned, it's difficult to kind of travel around. Emergency vehicles are having to get through the intersection we showed you earlier, a couple hundred feet from where we are. But it's difficult for them to travel here right now as well. And, we're seeing lots of wind still, but the big concern, of course, is that flooding. And again, it's a sad situation seeing it. We also just saw a couple moments ago a car come right up to this edge and have to turn around. But this water is just creeping forward. We've watched it as it comes forward, and this flooded area continues to expand out. So some very, very serious flooding that we are dealing with here in Kissimmee and in Osceola County right now. And we'll go ahead and send it back to you guys in studio.
And Sabrina, I just want to take a quick moment to emphasize this. We've been talking about it all morning, but the Osceola EOC tweeted not too long ago, as day breaks, please continue to stay sheltered and allow first responders, that's key, to assess and damage and clear hazards and debris. Do not go out there. It's a problem. To that end, we're actually seeing something that is a water rescue in a just in a street.
Yeah, in just an intersection. So let's get to that really quick, Austin, because this is kind of rare. You don't see them report a water rescue, right? It's on my map system, my traffic map system. A water rescue, Central Drive and St. John's Parkway. Crews are coming in again. They're calling this a water rescue. And this is that area of Seminole County that Brian says is under that unprecedented emergency flood advisory. As we zoom on out, you can see it's by Lake Monroe and also by that area we were telling you about before on I-4. That ramp from State Road 46 to I-4 westbound is shut down as that water continues to rise. The flooding in this area is life-threatening, so that ramp is closed. Stay off the roads.
And the city of Sanford just tweeted not too long ago, a few minutes ago, saying of reports of flooding in the areas of Hartwell Ave and 25th, Sanford Ave North from 25th Street to Magnolia Park, 13th Street from Laurel Avenue to Sanford Ave, and 2600 block of Elm Avenue. Power line, in fact, this is important, pay attention, a power line is down at 6th Street and Park at Sanford. Those are all areas, we're going to work to get you that list here in just a second, but those are all areas that there's a road obstruction, either flooding or in one case flooding and a power line down. Either or the potential of both there. So this is why we're telling you, do not go out right now. It's simply not safe. I know we're all getting antsy. I know we want to go out and see what things are happening outdoors, but Tropical Storm Ian is still in full effect in our area and will be for the remainder of the day, okay?
Yeah.
So please do not go outside. We're running into some very serious, dangerous situations on the roads right now.
And we want to get right out to Demi Johnson so we can get her to safety after this live report. Demi, the last time we saw you, really serious stuff happening, the signs blowing, it got intense quickly.
Yeah, Alexa and Kirsten, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time because I think the wind is howling even louder. So I'm just going to be quiet and let you listen to what it sounds like out here right now. The wind feels even stronger at this point. You can see the trees moving around quite a bit. There's debris blowing around on the ground right here, a bit metal sheet. I actually also saw a metal street sign, like the entire street sign, fly through an alley right off of Main Street. It was just insane. I've never seen that happen before. And this is a mixture of rain and salt water. I can feel salt on my jacket. I can kind of taste it as it's coming through too. So it's just crazy to see how the wind is really picking up the water. And it was for a little bit, but the flooding doesn't stand a chance because it's so windy. It's just picking up the water. Actually, Mateo, if you go this way a little bit, look, there's a parking sign on the ground right there. So we're starting to see a lot of these street signs fall down, business signs, debris blowing around. I do want to keep saying we are safe. We are sheltered underneath an awning, so we're watching for things. We're trying to make sure. Oh, you see a flash of light too. We're also seeing a lot of that. A lot of lights flashing, street lights, businesses, kind of the lights going off and on. But again, we're safe. We're in a safe spot. And we'll continue to be safe, but we'll continue to show you things as much as we can. But for now, I'll send it back to you guys, okay?
Oof.
Yeah.
I mean, to hear that wind howling like that and to think that this is just a tropical storm, but we're still actually experiencing some wind gusts, especially in that area, that are much more likely of a Category 1. Even though Ian is now a tropical storm, those wind gusts are reaching those points, not sustaining, which is why it's not a Cat 1.
Here, all of that hitting the building, different, you know, items flying around.
And it's just why you got to stay indoors, right? And she's being as safe as she possibly can in between her live shots and giving you what you need to see to hopefully demonstrate why you should not be outdoors. Though, as the morning goes on, we've been on for 3.5 hours now with this crew. We've been on, of course, now for 26 hours or something like that, giving you continuous coverage. But we're seeing more and more people get antsy and get out there, and they should not be outdoors right now.
We can't be outside. I mean, it's, obviously if you have to get to a hospital or something like that, but I mean, our crew's having to rescue people from just regular old intersections. Is that what you're saying? So
yeah, water rescues happening right now in Orange County, and in water rescues, they normally deploy them if a paddle board incident happens.
It's a body of water typically, right? It's not an intersection.
But we're seeing it now in Osceola County. A new one just came in Orange County. This is not typical to see on our response list from our firefighters and our rescue crews. So please, please, please stay inside because we're still seeing the winds and rain.
And we need those crews to be able to get to spots like the St. John's along Astor, where they had to get families out of their homes because of the quick river rise. And now we're seeing that on the Little Wekiva River in Seminole County. Also asking people to seek higher ground. So we need our emergency officials to be able to get there. And a lot of the roads you may be trying to go to, you just run into an intersection, parts of I-4 a mess. It is a mess out there. So get you out to, let me show you this camera shot here. I think this is earlier. So that is our Daytona Beach camera that we always show you every single morning. Winds took it out. We had winds gusting to 76 miles per hour there. And this was about an hour or two ago, and it just took out the camera. And it looks like we even lost a connection with that camera. But there's that shot there. Again, just that is nuts. So again, let's get you, wow, we'll keep you posted on that, but let's get you to this. All right, Ian right now, a tropical storm. The center is here. This is lifting into Brevard County. It's moving right over Brevard County, the center. If I'm not mentioning your location, if Kirsten is not mentioning your location, Alexa, Rusty, or reporters, that's probably a good thing at this point in a situation like this. We are watching everyone, I promise, because we know we get kind of different situations, and things are going to evolve up toward Flagler County too. But we have these flood warnings that are out, and a lot of these are flash. This is the flood emergency along the Little Wekiva River. Alex is over there, Alex Walker. He'll have the reports. Trying to get people to seek higher grounds. A police officer was stuck in his vehicle there, and I think he had to abandon his vehicle. That's what he said. So police vehicle, just because of he said he was so surprised that the river rose so quickly, already at record stage there. So again, southern tier, not as much rain, but still the very gusty winds wrapping around. And even though some of the rain cutting off in Kissimmee and St. Cloud, all that water, it's still rushing in. We are in don't flow very fast whatsoever. Things are going to build up, and then they're just going to stay there. So we're going to see that river rise all the way through the day. And here is the circulation is right over by Merritt Island now, or at least the center of Ian. And the heaviest weather that knocked out our camera, still near New Smyrna Beach, moving in, pinwheeling back over the same spots. DeLand, Deltona, DeBerry, back through Sanford, Lake Mary, Heathrow, Oviedo, Longwood, Altamont Springs, back through Orlando, Winter Park. Very heavy weather. Not as much Marion, Sumter, and Lake. We still have the squally weather, no doubt. But again, you see it here working its way from DeLand, now Daytona Beach Shores, Ormond Beach, Flagler Beach, Palm Coast. This is only going to go downhill. We've had that persistent onshore wind kicking around. As far as the rain we've had, you can see this swath. I know there's so many colors here. We don't usually have this many colors. We're looking at, we've already had 10 to 15 inches. So some of the higher totals we were very worried about are coming true. And again, it's not for all of us, but where it is, we are having that enormous flooding and some of that life-threatening flooding, as Alexa was saying, where we've had 15 inches, this gray shading upwards of 15 to maybe 20 inches because it is still coming down out there. Winds right now, these are the sustained winds, 54 miles per hour Daytona Beach. So no hurricane conditions. These are tropical storm conditions. Think of what they went through in Southwest Florida when it was almost a Cat 5 yesterday. Here are the gusts. The gusts are back up in Daytona Beach. We're at about 70 miles per hour with the gust. You see this little donut hole here? This is kind of a dead area here because this is where the center of Ian is, and it will pass offshore. Still a massive system, so it'll whip around the winds. And we're still seeing the winds. Look at that in Claremont, where things have been kind of cutting off, so to speak. Still about a 50 mile per hour wind gust there. So again, watching out for some more branches that could come down. So the system is going to the center, sliding offshore this morning. This is 2 o'clock. Rain stopping here, but I caution we get issues. The rivers are still going to be rising. even when the rain cuts off, and the winds are going to be very gusty, still knocking down branches even when the rain departs. Flagler, Volusia, we'll see the coastal flooding, watching the trees down on the other side of the intercoastal away from the beach. And then this system will depart further tonight. Still gusty winds for tonight, and we'll be monitoring that flooding, of course, as we go throughout the day. So watching the rivers rising, the urban flooding this morning, still the gusty winds, river concerns this afternoon to say the least. And still watching out for those branches coming down and down trees. And again, please be sure to have those generators away from your home, of course, outside, so we don't have any fumes sneaking inside. But the river's a major issue, already breaking records out there. Let's get to Rusty with the latest on that.
Yeah, Brian, you were talking about the Little Wekiva River. The other one that we're watching, obviously, is the St. Johns River Basin. And maybe you're new to Central Florida. A couple unique things about the St. Johns. It actually flows north in Central Florida, and the actual river basin itself is wide and broad. It encompasses several hundred thousands of acres here in Central Florida. And so it is a very slow to recede river, but it can also flood very, very quickly as well because there's so much water going into a very lowly graded river. There's just not much of a drop off here. So the flood stage is 2.3 feet at Astor. At 3:30 a.m. they were at 3.4. I just looked. It's now up to 3.6. This gauge that is on the St. Johns River at Astor. Forecast to crest at 4.6 late on Friday. That would be the record flood stage. So we're already in a moderate flood. We'll get to a major flood as we get into the evening hours tonight, and then Friday we could be hitting a record stage. Brian mentioned those wind reports, and again, coastal Volusia County are seeing the strongest winds throughout the duration of Ian right now. We have very high-end tropical storm force sustained winds, but the gust at Daytona Beach last hour of 76 miles an hour, Category 1 hurricane strength. You can see some of the other gusts that we've had. And again, we are starting to see some of the rain dissipate on the western and the southern sides as dry air comes in. That's why the winds are picking up in Lake County. As that dry air intrusion comes in the backside of Ian, we normally see those winds pick up. It's a drier wind, but the winds actually do get a little bit higher in speed, at least for the first few hours as that dry air gets sucked into the center of Ian. So as Ian moves offshore, you're going to take a look at some of the additional rainfall totals. So as we get towards the Little Wekiva River, maybe another 3-4 inches of rain, DeLand 5 inches of rain, Daytona Beach 5 inches of rain, Palm Coast 6 inches. Again, that's the additional rainfall we expect in Central Florida from Ian. So we've been talking about the flooding, but the coastal storm surge is going to be an issue for Volusia and Flagler counties later this morning. We are coming up on high tide at 11 a.m. So coming up in a few minutes, I want to talk about the problems we can see along our coastline as Ian moves a little bit closer to pulling offshore. Kirsten, Alexa.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Rusty, for those updates. Now we're going to actually take a look at some of that flooding in Lake County.
Yeah, we want to check in with Chantel Navarro, who is in Astor, just about 2 miles from the flooding. Chantel, a lot of work for emergency crews to do through this area.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the longer we're out here, the worse it's really looking, and the less likelihood that it's looking that emergency crews are going to actually get to these families sooner rather than later. Now, if you take a look over there, notice that the path that we had here is actually getting smaller and smaller. It's that little muddy road right there. It looks like the water is accumulating on both sides, even worse. And you know, those two families that are still out there that chose not to evacuate, they're going to have to wait because emergency crews said that it is too dangerous for them at this time, the way the levels are right now, to be able to get over there. We're going to have to really wait until the sun comes up to see even how bad it is. But it's about 2 miles that way. The St. Johns River obviously has been prone to flooding in the past. We saw some of that with Dorian. We saw some of that with Irma as well. And you know, a lot of those other families, the 10 families that left, that were evacuated rather, they are along with and 30 families that are up in those shelters in those 14 locations here in the county as well. But we might be getting a look at more power outages here in the area as well. About 15% of the county is in the dark right now, and we saw some homes that did have their lights on earlier, but in the past half hour, I noticed that some also went off there as well. So we're about to check in with EMA, but we're going to have to keep kind of moving back down here because it is getting kind of dangerous for us to be here in the area as well. We're worried about right now, but that's it for now here in Astor. We'll keep you guys updated as things develop. Back to you guys.
No, you're good. We are looking at the conditions out of Seminole County this morning. Channel 9's Alex Walker was there in the Little Wekiva area and filed this report.
We are the Wekiva River in Altamont Springs here in Seminole County, and this is a very dangerous water situation. You can see the significant flooding in this neighborhood. We are smack next to the Little Wekiva River, and actually right behind me there is a cruiser, a police car that got stuck in the water, and behind me on my other shoulder you can see a white car in the driveway. Just how much water is rising. Officials are telling people to seek higher ground if you are in this area anywhere next to the Little Wekiva River here in Seminole County. Even just getting here from downtown Orlando, a lot of issues, a lot of flooding, covered roads we had to go monitoring. When we have some more details from this flooded area in this neighborhood, we'll get that to you. But for now, Alex Walker, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Out of Seminole County, officials are set to give a live stream update at 7:30. We have a lot going on in that area, from that flooding to some of the water rescues, again, on intersections, on roads. So Darlene Jones is monitoring that and talking to those officials. They will have that update for us at 7:30 this morning, and we'll bring it to you right here live.
For now, though, we want to take you to the coast and give you a live shot look and a report here by Ashley N. And Ashley, how are things panning out there? Calm now.
Very calm, almost eerie calm. This is the closest I've been able to bring you guys to the storm wall here along the Indian River tonight, because before it was just too dangerous, I felt, for us to be this close. But if you take a look here behind me, you can see the water right now is calmer than it's been all night. Rain is really just kind of a drizzle at this point. No wind at all. It is completely still. This is a big change from what we've seen for the past few hours. It's tough to see out there, but there's actually a boat, and I was talking to a man who owns the boat. And again, sorry, it's a little tough to see, but he was telling us, you know, he was going to be out here for as long as he could tonight. He wanted to watch and make sure that his boat was going to be okay. He didn't know what he was going to do if conditions got worse, but he said he has plans to, you know, live on this boat. And he told us it was emotional, you know, seeing it just rock back and forth out there, not sure what was going to happen. But that will kind of give you an idea, again, of just how bad some of the conditions out here have really been. You know, people have lived here, like that man I just told you about, Kenneth, saying, you know, I've lived here most of my life and I'm just not sure what's going to happen. I haven't seen anything like this before. And then we also went to a gas station about an hour ago, and we ran into a police officer, and the police officer told us also he's lived here his entire life and he's never seen the Indian River this high before. So that was a really interesting perspective as well, if that gives you any idea of how much rain we've seen out here. And I showed you the tree uprooted right here. And that should give you an idea of the wind that was coming off of the water here, going this way, and it just completely uprooted that tree. The tree right in front of it, I was actually watching too, because it was bending in the wind, and I thought, okay, if that tree can go, that one might go too. But it looks like for the moment we are in the clear. So of course we're going to keep you guys updated as this continues to develop. But for now, back to you guys.
And quickly here, just want to get you some news just into our newsroom that all roads into Windermere right now are closed except for one. We're working to find out why exactly those roads are closed, whether it be to any obstruction, down power lines, debris like fallen trees, you know, flooding of some kind. We don't know exactly what's closing those roads down, but again, all roads into Windermere closed except for one. Officials are now asking you not to attempt to go in or out at this time. Again, all roads in in Windermere closed except for one. Do not attempt to go in or out at this time. Once we get more information about what's causing those closures, we will let you know. But for now, just stay put. Do not attempt to go in and out of that area right now.
Let's jump to my traffic map so you can see what we are watching right now as we put live traffic tracker and Doppler 9 radar. Look at all these icons on the screen. You have closures across Central Florida. Those triangle icons are flooding. The bridges are shut down. I'll move you around so you can see we have crashes in the Windermere area. All those roads are closed. Things are getting intense on our roadways this morning. Again, all roads into Windermere except one closed right now. Please do not attempt to go in and out of that area. We are reaching out to our first responders who are actively working all these scenes. But again, major issues on our roads with that flooding and those closures.
For now, let's get over to meteorologist Brian Shields giving us the latest with this now tropical storm. Ian, Brian, what can we expect as the sun rises here in a little bit?
Yeah, well, the rivers are going to keep rising and conditions are going to go downhill in parts of Volusia and Flagler with some of the worst weather moving into our northeastern sections. Right now, it is a tropical storm, and I did update the rain totals. I want to get to that as well. 65-mile-per-hour sustained winds, probably a little less at this point. No hurricane conditions around. This is a strong tropical storm at this point. We have those flood warnings. Pick your spot. Again, they're all over the place. This is the spot where Alex Walker is. He'll keep us posted on the Little Wekiva River, that flash flood emergency. They were asking people to seek higher ground. And again, this is in place right now. So we're going to monitor that down. Even where it's not, the rivers are rising because everything is kind of rushing to that. Still a chance of some rain squeaking to St. Cloud and Kissimmee where we have the flooding. Not as much though, and of course cutting off Marion and Sumter. It is a little bit lighter. Squally though, Winter Garden seeing some of the rain. Lessening now in Orlando where Christy has been covering the urban flooding for us, getting into a few homes in downtown Orlando. And then you see swinging back here. Here's the pinwheel action. The center of this right now is right over KSC, making a visit to Artemis, and you can see here again, this is all moving in. The reds, that's where the worst weather is. 60, 70-mile-per-hour gust in this, and a quick 3, 4, 5 inches of rain piling up down through Sanford, Oviedo, Barry, DeLam, New Smyrna Beach, Ponce Inlet, Port Orange. As you get back through Dunlop and Ave, that's where we have the heaviest weather. Daytona Beach, where it knocked over our tower cam. We showed you that video earlier. It flipped it right over, and then that will lift up through Flagler Beach. And watching all the coastal concerns as we work into Flagler and Volusia. The swath of rain, you can see this here in just the brighter colors. You get the idea. We've had about 15 inches of rain in some spots now. So again, over a foot of rain, and it's still coming down in orange in points up to the north. New Smyrna Beach, actually just inland, so as you get across 44 by the New Smyrna Speedway by San Sula, 16 inches of rain over the last 24 hours. So again, the canals through here especially, we're going to see those all backing up. That river flooding, that urban flooding, all of that freshwater flooding we're going to be dealing with. Winds right now sustained at 25 in Kissimmee, 33 DeLam, 52 in Daytona Beach, gust 44 in Sanford, 66 in Daytona Beach. 50 miles per hour. Even though the rain's cutting off in our western zones, we're going to have those gusty winds around. So the center will push get through. It's just about to move offshore, very close to that. And you can see again this model having some of that rain still near Sanford, but lessening by early afternoon, mainly just along the coast. Still heavier weather, Palm Coast through New Smyrna Beach. Drying out though later in the afternoon. Still the very strong winds, which is an issue for those power lines that are kind of teetering. The branches above your heads that may be ready to fall. We'll still have some of the winds gusting 30, 40 on the backside of the system by the time we get into tonight, but we'll be drying out. But the rivers, they are going to be rising. All of that lags, all that water is going to kind of rush in. That is going to be lagging behind. So again, we'll get rid of Ian today, but the problems persist. Some of the worst weather is right now, and we are tracking that for you. And then tomorrow into the weekend, drying out, nicer weather sliding in for that weekend. But please stay off the roads if you can. Do not walk in, go in, or drive through any of that water. We don't know what's in there. We don't know if wires are touching it, if manhole covers are moved. Your car yourself could go right into that. So again, please let the emergency officials do what they need to do out there. And again, they're trying to keep even people safe that have unrelated problems to this. Some of them may be having heart issues. Some of them may be having something else, and they need to get someone to the the hospital, and they have to take different ways now because, as Alexa was showing us, there's so many blockages out there right now. So Alexa, Kirsten, plenty going on. 6:47 on your Thursday morning as we watch Tropical Storm Ian trying to pull just off of our coast.
Yeah, Brian, we have some heavy winds and rain from Ian as a storm moves across central Florida. We want to take seen throughout our coverage area.
So we'll start in Kissimmee. This is video that we got from one of our reporters. You can see that water there coming up to the shopping center. Most of the stores there are about, what would you say, a fourth of them, including their roofs, underwater?
It's insane, the damage that we're seeing, not only to residential, but now commercial spaces too because of this. And in a different part of Kissimmee, we can actually see here, this is what we've been referring to all morning, a SWAT team came out to actually rescue the person in that black car. You see them driving through those floodwaters in their vehicle, which is made to do so. But the vehicle there, that compact vehicle, not made to do that, and you should not be driving right now. That car got, the person eventually was able to communicate with them and get out and get into their SWAT vehicle, leaving the car behind.
And here is a look at some pictures that we've gotten from the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Already some of their crews have been busy clearing all that debris from that fallen tree. You can see a lot of will need to be done. All of these first responders, all of these agencies prepared for this. They've had their high vehicles, their Bearcats standing by to clear that debris because we will see those down power lines. We will see all of that tree cover.
And live pictures right now of Cimarron and La Costa, I believe our Dave Turner is there, and we have some pictures there of what's happening. We're working to get those on camera right now. Take a look here. You can see by the light right there just how much rain and flooding is in this area. Again, it is a Cimarron and La Costa there, an urban area, not an area where we typically see, you know, such type of flooding. This is right next to what appears to be a business there in the area. Lights still on there. Of course, we're seeing some areas where you go a block and there's no light, and then you go another block down and there is light. So we're tracking those power outages for you as well. Again, this is a live look in Orange County of Cimarron and La Costa there. Certainly taking a lot of wind and rain. You see that wind being pushing the rain on in there, and that rain accumulating on the ground. It is a good idea right now to stay put as the sun rises. I know you're going to get curious and you're tempted to go outside. Now is not the time.
We want to get over to Seminole County, where we are seeing again that intense flooding in some spots. We are under an emergency flood advisory around Little Wekiva. Brian Shields continues to stress how rare and unprecedented this is, but that doesn't mean that the flooding is just concentrated in that area. We are seeing it spread out across Seminole County, including Geneva, and that's where we find Channel 9's Q McCrae live right now. Q, that rain still beating you down.
Well, here in Geneva, the wind and rain are definitely an issue. More the rain now than the wind. To be completely honest, the wind's kind of died down some, but it was enough earlier to knock over trees. And we showed you that in past live shots here in Geneva. So since we've been live this morning, we've been on Fort Lane Road. That's where we showed you that down tree. We've been on Crossover Road. We've been on Whitcomb Road. And now we're on North Jungle. And as you can see, well, the water's about almost up to my knees at this point. The water here is deep. This entire road is flooded. And if we pan over to our left here, you'll see just how high the water is. It's almost up to the mailbox here. A lot of standing water, a lot of storm runoff just making its way through this area. And it's really impacting homes. And what we're noticing is a lot of the water is making its way onto properties. And in this location, it's going down the drive here, its driveway over to this home. And at the moment, it doesn't look like the water's in the house, but their front yard is a lake right now. And this isn't unusual here in Geneva. The majority of the properties that we've seen are just covered with water. What we've also noticed is that most of these homes here also are without power. So yeah, definitely a sad scene here in Geneva. Having spoken to fire rescue yesterday and a number of residents here, they all say that they expected the rain, they expected the flooding, they expected the strong winds. But what they were concerned about is just how bad the flooding was going to be. And about 5 minutes or so ago, a man drove by here, Mr. Jacobs. He was driving in his lifted 4x4 pickup with the big tires, and the water's about halfway up his tires. And he told me he has 2 homes in this area, one on the river, one down the street that he was about to head to. And he watched his car make its way down jungle here. He says that he's seen the water this high before, but not this early in a storm. So he's really concerned about his properties, as are all the people here in this area of Geneva. Again, we're reporting live on Jungle Road right now, but the homes over on Whitcomb, the homes over on Crossover, the homes over on Fort Lane, the water is just as bad and getting higher and higher by the minute. So that's the latest from Geneva. I'm Q McRae. Back to you guys inside.
I know he wants to show us that flooding, but it's, there's a time where we have to decide, hey, safety first and get out of those waters. You never know what's underneath. I've been saying that all morning, that's our reporters included,
And our crews have been showing us so much, from our team of reporters and photographers to just some of our standalone photographers. We have been collecting a lot of video and pictures to show you, but we've also been getting some stuff sent into us by our viewers, and this is one of those examples. Backyard flooding. You see it right here in the Alafaya Woods community. This was sent in by viewer Kinsley. This is Kinsley in Oviedo. She says she is backed up to a nature preserve that is flooding. Her backyard has at least a foot of water, and it's still rising.
Of course, it's something that we have been saying all morning long, that this is a major weather water event. We knew it was going to rain a lot. Not that the wind gusts weren't going to happen, because they are. We've seen that all morning long in Daytona Beach, right? But that this is going to be a major water event. And so we have to pack a lot of patience, because as people are waking up this morning, they're going to want to get indoors. But the reality is you can't go outside right now. Stay indoors, as the reality is right now we're still going to be feeling the effects of now Tropical Storm Ian throughout the day today, and really into the night as well. It looks like into the evening is when things will kind of ease up with the rain, but we'll still be having those wind gusts. So when it comes to rain, we still have a long day ahead of us. Now is not the time to be outdoors.
And we had been warning you about those power outages. We have been, with our continuous coverage, tracking Ian since 4 yesterday morning on TV, now pushing 27 hours. We've been warning you about the power outages, and these are the new numbers in this morning.
For OUC, over 62,000, pushing 63,000 customers in the dark right now. Duke Energy, 260 homes right now in the dark. FPL, 138,000. And over in Kissimmee, KUA, 14,000 customers right now in the dark. You guys, if you're listening to us on the radio, we are with you. We understand our homes right now, even though we're at the station, our homes are actually in the dark. Myself and Alexa's home currently do not have power, both Duke Energy customers. So we are feeling these effects with you, or at least our families are. We're at work, obviously, but we, none of us are immune to these effects. I was talking earlier that Shannon Butler has a tree in her backyard right now. We heard a live shot from Jeff Left Coolidge saying that his wife, even though he was in different parts of Seminole County at the time, that his wife in Sanford said their street had become a river, or was approaching river kind of status to all the rain accumulating in their neighborhood. We are not immune to the effects that you guys are experiencing in your homes right now.
And we want to focus in on Seminole County. Nate, if you can, Austin, if you can take the traffic system for me this morning so that I can show you what we're watching in Seminole County, because I am talking to those officials there. The camera's kind of stuck, but they are seeing such impassable roads right here. You can see this is in Daytona Beach, but in Seminole County, we have just stranded cars. I-4 westbound, here it is at State Road 46, shut down for flooding. They will have a news conference live at 7:30 to stress what they're seeing in Seminole County. Stay with us. We will bring that to you live at 7:30 as we continue to track now Tropical Storm Ian.